Moral rectitude and a healthy economy. Introduction. There's a common custom in Thailand of the laity asking for and receiving the 5 precepts. When the lay people have undertaken and determined these precepts, the monk who gives them concludes by pointing out the blessings of moral conduct, chanting Silena Sugating Yanti Silena Boga Sampada Silena Nitboting. This verse can be translated as, by way of virtuous conduct, one goes to heaven, one achieves an abundance of wealth, one reaches Nibbana. The pertinent clause here is that referring to an abundance of wealth, moral conduct leads to wealth and thus to a healthy economy. Although this verse was composed in later years and appears neither in the Tipitaka nor in the commentaries and sub-commentaries, because of its traditional importance, it is worthy of attention. The chief principle of moral conduct, sila, is that it establishes a stable basis and prepares a disciplined environment in order that one may successfully engage in various essential activities. In relation to the economy, when people are established in moral conduct and there is an absence of crime and a reduction of danger to human life or personal possessions, people can move about safely. Consequently, when building factories, engaging in trade, and travelling about, either in the city or in the country, during the day or at night, people feel secure and at ease. Bosses and their employees relate to one another with kindness and sincerity. The state bureaucracy is honest, efficient, and trustworthy. Communication between people, both locally and internationally, is smooth and easy, and production of commerce proceeds unhindered. This is how moral conduct prepares a foundation for economic prosperity. Once a nation is stable and its citizens feel secure, one can shift one's focus to individual people. Here we need not examine the obvious harmful effects of immoral behavior, for instance, licentiousness, theft, deceit, and alcoholism. When people determine to earn their living in a virtuous, upright manner, and they are unscrupulous, they are devoted to such an honest pursuit, they will no longer act or think in immoral, unscrupulous ways. They will not be detracted even by thoughts of unexpected windfalls, let alone by acquiring things through dishonest means. When one's mind is truly intent on one's work, muddled or distracted thoughts cease. This is the beginning of concentration. When one is focused and committed to one's work and activities, one engages with such considerations as: how should I begin? What should I do? How should I proceed to achieve my goal? What obstacles am I likely to face? How should I solve these problems? With whom should I associate? Whom should I consult? This is how moral conduct affects the mind. Concentration and wisdom then take over as the guiding factors. The 4 paths to success, Iddhipada, arise in turn, and one can be assured of accomplishment and success. Bear in mind that the function of moral conduct is to establish a stable foundation for people to confidently engage in further spiritual practice. If one lacks moral discipline, one will have a weak foundation and a supportive environment. moral integrity, one cannot truly begin on this. Without moral integrity, one cannot truly begin on the spiritual path. If one tries to begin, one will be shaky and unsteady. On the contrary, when one's surroundings are favourable and one's foundation stable, one is able to truly engage with one's work. One will be endowed with concentration. At the beginning of a passage summarizing the teaching for householders, the Buddha uttered a verse acting as a constant principle in regard to this subject of moral conduct. Diligent in one's work, heedful, clever at managing one's affairs, Uttata kama dayesu apamato vidana wa. One may say that this verse epitomizes the Buddhist principles towards work. Work begins as a consequence of diligence, represented in Pali by the term uttana, which may also be translated as rising to one's feet, non-complacency, increase of wealth, or increased prosperity. When one is diligent and industrious, one's work advances, leading to completion and accomplishment. The Buddha emphasized diligence not only as a factor leading to success, but also as a recollection for self-esteem and joy in regard to one's work. A frequent teaching he gave to householders in this context is, one has acquired wealth by perseverance, amassed by the strength of one's arms, earned by the sweat of one's brow, righteous wealth righteously gained. Diligence also leads to self-development and to self-improvement, because an engagement with work compels one to grow in many areas of one's life, to pass beyond obstacles, and to reach success. Diligence on its own, however, is insufficient. One must also be endowed with heedfulness, appamada. If one is diligent and energetic, but one acts in an untimely, inopportune way, or if one acts out of place or out of step, putting forth effort where it is inappropriate, and desisting from effort where it is due, one is likely to fail. Heedfulness here refers to mindfulness, sati, which steps forward and functions in tandem with effort, virya. One is vigilant and alert, abreast in circumstances as they unfold, and unperturbed by negative situations. One acts immediately when this is called for, and one is fully prepared to protect what is valuable and to deal with unfinished business. One does not miss a suitable opportunity when the time is ripe. One is not negligent. One keeps to the principle, prepare well for the future, do not allow unfinished business to cause distress in times of crisis. When supported by heedfulness, effort, virya is fully equipped and functions in the following ways. A. It prevents damage and loss. 2. It solves problems and eliminates negative and dangerous situations. 3. It enables and supports wholesome actions. And 4. It acts as a protective force, say by protecting one's virtuous qualities, upholding one's dignity and enhancing one's spiritual practice, culminating in spiritual perfection. The third clause in the verse above, clever at managing one's affairs, refers to wisdom, which leads to a correct application of diligence and enables heedfulness to truly bear fruit. In sum, wisdom understands the principles involved in work. In particular, one is endowed with the 7 qualities of a virtuous person, saparisadhamma, which includes such factors as to know the origin and cause of things, to know the objective and results of things, to know oneself, to know moderation, to know the proper time, and to know other people, to know one's community, and to know one's society. Example, to be able to select the right people for a specific job, to know the needs and desires of specific groups of people, etc. The Buddha frequently emphasized this clever management of affairs, both in teachings to the monastic community, using the expression alang sam we ta tung, able at managing one's affairs, and in particular to householders who are responsible for activities within the wider society. In regard to looking after a household, the Buddha taught this principle. A householder should be charitable and clever at managing his affairs, vitana awanta. In this context, there are many guiding principles in the scriptures for people who work in government service. For example, when endowed with a discriminative discernment, vicharana panya, accomplished in awakened intelligence, buddhi panya, clever at managing his affairs, knowing the proper time and occasion, is suited to carry out government service. One diligent in his work, circumspect, with keen insight, skilled at managing his affairs, is suited to carry out government service. To sum up, moral conduct, sila, encompasses those things that are connected to human activities and to human coexistence. One may say that moral conduct is a matter of preparing a suitable environment and society in order that people can fully devote themselves to the cultivation of the mind and of wisdom. The following scriptural passages reveal Buddhist principles of right livelihood for lay people, describing the acquisition of wealth, the spending of wealth, and the happiness that is derived from a just livelihood. B. The search for and protection of wealth. At one time, the Brahmin Ujjaya visited the Buddha and said that he would soon be traveling on a long journey. He asked the Buddha to give a teaching that would be conducive to both present and future well-being. The Buddha replied, "These four things, Brahman, are conducive to present happiness and well-being: the fulfillment and perseverance, Uttana Sampada, the fulfillment of protection, Raka Sampada, association with virtuous people, Kalyana Mitata, and balanced livelihood, Sammajivita." What is the fulfillment of perseverance? Here a clansman earns his living with diligence, either in agriculture or commerce, or tending livestock, or military service, or civil service, or some form of craft. He is industrious and skilled, not negligent, possessed of investigative acumen, familiar with the procedures of that work, able to arrange and carry out that job. This is called fulfillment of perseverance. And what is fulfillment of protection? Here a clansman possesses wealth acquired by hard work, collected by the strength of his arms, earned by the sweat of his brow, justly obtained in a rightful manner. He manages, protects, and watches over that wealth, thinking, "Now how can I arrange it so that kings do not confiscate this wealth and thieves do not steal it? That fire does not consume it, that water does not carry it away, and that displeasing airs do not take it." This is called the fulfillment of protection. What is associated with virtuous people? Here, in whichever town or village a clansman dwells, he consorts, converses, and consults with householders' sons, young men who act as dignitaries, and old men who act as elders, who are endowed with faith, moral conduct, generosity, and wisdom. He emulates the accomplishment of faith in those who are endowed with faith. He emulates the accomplishment of moral conduct in those who are endowed with moral conduct. He emulates the accomplishment of generosity in those who are endowed with generosity. And he emulates the accomplishment of wisdom in those who are endowed with wisdom. This is called association with virtuous people. And what is balanced livelihood? Here a clansman earns his living with moderation, living neither too extravagantly nor overly hard pressed. He knows how wealth increases and how wealth shrinks, thinking, acting in this way, income will exceed my expenses, and expenses will not surpass my income. Just as a person who carries skills or whose apprentice knows, on holding up the balance, that this much weight is deficient and this much is excessive. If the clansman earns a small income but lives lavishly, it will be rumoured of him, the clansman uses his wealth like a fig tree glutton. If this clansman earns a great income but lives hard up, it will be rumoured of him, this clansman will die like a pauper. But because the clansman earns his living with moderation, this is called a balanced livelihood. Brahman, righteously acquired wealth has these four pathways to decline. Apaya mukha. A person is a philanderer, a person is a heavy drinker, a person is a habitual gambler, a person associates and is intimate with evildoers, just as in the case of a great reservoir with four inlets and four outlets. If a person were to close the inlets and open the outlets, and if rain were not to fall according to the season, a decrease of that reservoir is to be expected, not an increase. Brahman, righteously acquired wealth has these four pathways to growth. Ayamukha, a person is not a philanderer, a person is not a heavy drinker, a person is not a habitual gambler, a person has friendship, companionship, and intimacy with the good, just as in the case of a great reservoir with four inlets and four outlets. If a person were to open the inlets and close the outlets, and if rain were to fall according to the season, an increase of that reservoir is to be expected, not a decrease. Brahman, these four things lead to a clansman's happiness and well-being in the present. From here the Buddha went on to reveal the four things conducive to future well-being. Samparayikata samvatani dhamma. Samparayikata equals future benefit, higher benefit. The accomplishment of faith, the accomplishment of moral conduct, the accomplishment of generosity, and the accomplishment of wisdom. See, happiness for lay people. The following teaching by the Buddha given to Anathapindika includes the principle referred to simply as the four kinds of happiness for lay people. In our householder, these four kinds of happiness, which should be consistently achieved by a layperson who enjoys sensual pleasure, depending on time and occasion. What for? The happiness of possession, ati sukha, the happiness of consuming, bhoga sukha, the happiness of debtlessness, ananda sukha, and the happiness of blamelessness, anavaja sukha. And what is the happiness of possession? Here a clansman possesses wealth acquired by energetic striving, amassed by the strength of his arms, earned by the sweat of his brow, righteous wealth righteously gained. When he thinks, I possess wealth acquired by energetic striving, righteously gained, he experiences happiness and joy. This is called the happiness of possession. And what is the happiness of consuming? Here, with the wealth acquired by energetic striving, amassed by the strength of his arms, earned by the sweat of his brow, righteous wealth righteously gained, a family man spends his wealth and does meritorious deeds. When he thinks, with the wealth acquired by energetic striving, righteously gained, I spend my wealth and do meritorious deeds, he experiences happiness and joy. This is called the happiness of consuming. What is the happiness of debtlessness? Here a family man is not indebted to anyone to any degree, whether great or small. When he thinks, I am not indebted to anyone to any degree, whether great or small, he experiences happiness and joy. This is called the happiness of debtlessness. What is the happiness of blamelessness? Here a noble disciple is endowed with blameless conduct of body, speech and mind. When he thinks, I am endowed with blameless conduct of body, speech and mind, he experiences happiness and joy. This is called the happiness of blamelessness. Aware of the bliss of debtlessness, one recalls the joy of possession. When using one's wealth, one wisely discerns the joy of consuming. Discerning with wisdom, the wise one knows due corresponding shares of his happiness, and sees that the first three kinds of happiness are not worth a 16th part of the bliss that comes from blamelessness. The spending of wealth. At one time, the Buddha gave the following teaching to Anathapindika on the purpose of money and on the benefits of wealth. Also, there are these 5 benefits that should be obtained from wealth. What 5? Here, with the wealth acquired by energetic striving, amassed by the strength of his arms, earned by the sweat of his brow, righteous wealth righteously gained, a noble disciple makes himself joyful and pleased, and properly maintains himself in happiness. He makes his mother and father, his wife and children, his servants, workers and employees joyful and pleased, and properly maintains them in happiness. This is the first benefit to be obtained from wealth. Here, with the wealth acquired by energetic striving, righteous wealth righteously gained, a noble disciple makes his friends and colleagues joyful and pleased, and properly maintains them in happiness. This is the second benefit to be obtained from wealth. Here, with the wealth acquired by energetic striving, righteous wealth righteously gained, a noble disciple protects his wealth from the dangers that may arise from fire and floods, kings and bandits, and displeasing heirs. He makes himself secure. This is the third benefit to be obtained from wealth. Here, with the wealth acquired by energetic striving, wealth righteously gained, a noble disciple makes 5 kinds of offerings: aid for relatives, nati bali, welcoming gifts to guests, atiti bali, making of merit in honor of the departed, put bapeta bali, support to the government, raja bali, and offerings to devas, devata bali. This is the fourth benefit to be obtained from wealth. Here, with the wealth acquired by energetic striving, wealth righteously gained, a noble disciple establishes an offering bearing noble fruit, generating virtuous states of mind, resulting in happiness and conducive to heaven. For ascetics and Brahmins who refrain from heedlessness and negligence, who are settled in patience and gentleness, who train themselves, calm themselves, and free themselves from the fires of defilement. This is the fifth benefit to be obtained from wealth. Householder, these are the 5 benefits that should be obtained from wealth. If when a noble disciple obtains these 5 benefits that should be obtained from wealth, his wealth is depleted, he considers thus: whatever benefit should be obtained from wealth, I have obtained such benefit, yet my wealth is depleted. Thus that noble disciple is not distressed. And if, when a noble disciple obtains these 5 benefits that should be obtained from wealth, his wealth increases, he considers thus: whatever benefit should be obtained from wealth, I have obtained such benefit, and my wealth has increased. Thus that noble disciple is not distressed. In both circumstances he experiences no distress. For wealthy householders, to be generous and to share one's wealth with others is considered a vital principle and a practice consistent with the path of the noble ones, as confirmed by this teaching. Having little, one should give little. Having a moderate amount, one should give moderately. Having a lot, one should give a lot. Not to give at all is unworthy. Indeed, merchant of Kosia, I say to you that you should use and share your wealth. You should enter the path of the noble ones. A person who eats alone experiences no joy. Cultivating generosity can be done by undertaking regular practices and observances. For example, one may choose to donate a specific percentage of one's income to assist others or to perform a special meritorious deed once a month or once a year. Some people may even determine to not eat a meal before they have given a gift to someone else, as is evident in the story of the recently converted wealthy merchant who upheld this vow: I will not drink even a drop of water if I have not first given a gift.